Hey homie, this is Ebony. Y'all, I just finished looking at the astrology for 2026 and we in danger, girl. Because December 21st, 2025, when the sun enters Capricorn for the astrological new year, baby, we got Saturn and Neptune teaming up to keep us broke and confused, Jupiter lying to us about how good the economy is while we're all getting sick, and Mars ready to fight everybody. The struggle bus is full and there are no seats available. I spent the last couple days looking at this chart, pulling midpoints, checking the Uranian planets, cross-referencing because I needed to know if it was really as rough as it looks. I did manage to find a little bit of light, and we'll talk about that. But buckle up, we are about to break down the three major themes of 2026, and I promise you, you're gonna wanna know this before we get there. But first, let's talk about what's on the horizon, literally. We've got 12 degrees Aquarius rising, which means we need to have a conversation about Aquarius energy. And if we really want to talk about the landscape we're entering, that we've already entered, we need to go deep on Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed air sign ruled by Saturn. And when I say fixed air, I mean fixed. These people will argue you down about the sky being blue and not budge.
No!
Air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, are all about communication, logic, intellect. They live in their heads constantly, thinking, analyzing, connecting dots, having full-on conversations with themselves. And all that mental activity creates nervous tension, which is why air signs talk so much. They're trying to release the pressure. They take in information from the outside world first to form their understanding from the periphery to the core. So they're always observing, collecting data, trying to make sense of the chaos. But here's what makes Aquarius so special. It is the sign of the collective, the group, the movement. Aquarius is all about forming new communities, new ways of organizing, but paradoxically, it's also about individuality, being the weirdo who doesn't fit the established norms. So you got this tension between we're all in this together and but I'm special and different. In the tarot, Aquarius corresponds to the star card. And this is where I need y'all to pay attention because I'm about to connect some dots. The star card has a numerical value of 90. So hold that in your mind.
I've got it!
Now, the number 90 is loaded. Biblically, the Hebrew word shamad, which means to destroy, exterminate, annihilate, make desolate, basically to wreck shop, shows up 90 times in the Old Testament. We're talking about the transgressor shall be destroyed and all the wicked will he destroy. So there's this whole energy of destruction attached to this number. Things getting wiped out, the slate getting cleaned. The word prophesy also appears 90 times in the King James Bible. And one of those verses says, and I quote, "A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. And my people love to have it so." False prophecy. People are lying, claiming they're speaking the truth, and the people, they're eating it up. They love the lies because the lies sound better than the truth. So are you seeing what I'm seeing? In 2026, with Aquarius rising, we enter an era of people forming movements, claiming to have the answers, prophesying about what's to come. But how many of these people are just making stuff up? How many are false prophets? And that shamad, destruction energy, is also in the mix. So things are getting torn down, systems are crumbling. But remember, sometimes you gotta burn it down to build it better. Sometimes destruction is necessary. And it feels like we're in the messy middle right now. The tower is falling and we're all just trying to figure out the next steps. But here's the thing about the star card. She's not just about destruction. She is the card that comes after the tower falls. She is actually a card of hope. She carries the memory of better days. You remember when people had jobs and healthcare and like enough money to cover the rent or their mortgages? When 5 corporations didn't own everything? What a time. The star reminds us of those good times, so we remember that suffering isn't our default state. When we remember better experiences, it lights a fire under us to create better experiences again. We're not here to just accept struggle. We're here to move through it. Paul Foster Case, one of the most well-known occultists out there, said the star is connected to meditation and intuition. Your intuition is like a GPS in the dark. You can't see where you're going, but that inner voice is like, recalculating, turn left. And do you know why the star card lady is naked? Complete authenticity. When you live from your most authentic self, you remember, I didn't come here to suffer. I came here to experience life. I'm a voyager. I chose this. The star is also about silence. And you might want to write this down. Suffering lives in the noise. All that chaos, all that drama, all those voices telling you what to think and feel, that is where suffering breeds. But silence creates distance, space between you and the pain. If you can expand the gap, you can be in a situation without letting it destroy you. That is the gift of detachment and the gift of the star card and Aquarius more broadly. Now, let me hit you with the Sabian symbol for 12 degrees Aquarius, because this is where things really click. The symbol is a barometer. We're out here checking the weather, trying to predict the forecast. This symbol is about humanity's ability to see what's coming and prepare for it, using your mind to spot patterns, read the signs, and plan accordingly. The key word is indication. When it's working right, the energy gives you sharp observation skills and good judgment. You can read the room. You can see what's coming around the corner. But when it's negative, you're just going whichever way the wind blows. No backbone or conviction, just vibes. So collectively in 2026 with Aquarius rising, we're checking the barometer. We're reading the signs. We're in our heads trying to figure out what's next. And as Dusty Springfield said, and if you don't know who Dusty Springfield is, go ask your mama. We're wishing and hoping and thinking and praying, planning and dreaming. Mental Olympics all day. But when we use that mental energy right, we get keen observation, strategic thinking, the ability to prepare. And with Pallas conjunct the ascendant, Pallas being the strategist, the one who recognizes patterns, we're trying to connect the dots and figure out how to navigate this mess. We're hoping for better, wishing for softer days, but we're also being strategic. We're reading the tea leaves. We're listening to Homegirl Astrology. We're checking that barometer. See how I did that? But honestly, we are going to need every bit of that strategy for what's coming. All right, let's get into the first major theme of 2026, the great struggle. And when I say struggle, I mean struggle. Saturn is in Pisces in the second house, conjunct Neptune. The second house rules money, material resources, including food, your financial security. And Saturn conjunct Neptune there breeds confusion, disappointment, misery, poverty, feeling frozen when it comes to money. You're trying to hold on to what you got with a tight fist, but you're not even clear on what you actually have. And this is not a new story for us. And right now I'm speaking about the United States specifically. But this Saturn-Neptune story in the second house is not new to us because we've been seeing it repeatedly in different mundane charts for the United States, really over the past year at least. Now, Saturn is the planet representing the American people in this chart because it rules the first house and it's ruling the 12th house too. So what that means is we are going through it mentally. We're in survival mode. It feels like a dark night of the soul. We don't know who to trust. And it gets better. Chiron is also in the second house. Chiron is where we experience pain so that we can teach others. It's that those who can't do teach energy. We're literally being hurt by our financial situation and learning key lessons from the experience. But wait, there's more. Jupiter, which rules the second house and the 10th house of leadership and government, it is in the 6th house. The 6th house is about stress, working like a slave, and dis-ease, disease. Jupiter is exalted there in the sign of Cancer, but it's retrograde and squaring Chiron. This is not great. Jupiter is exalted, so it looks good. It's like the economy is doing well on paper. The news is telling you everything's fine. But when a planet is in the sign of its exaltation, but retrograde, there's an aphorism that says that planet is a sick man at home. That feels a little quarantine-ish to me, but that's probably just my COVID trauma talking. So what does this mean? Going back to the second house, it means you got all this food, but it ain't worth a daggone. The economy looks like it's thriving, but people are sick. People are stressed. Jupiter is opposing the moon, which rules the 6th house. So we're doubling down and have more illness and stress coming directly toward the people. And we've also got several combinations that indicate work stoppages and layoffs. There's Saturn Palace on the Aries point, Mars Saturn on the Aries point. Mars Saturn is actually a death combination too, but that's kind of implicit with sickness and some of the other things we'll talk about in a minute. Jupiter Chiron can also mean having luck in conditions where you weren't supposed to have success, where you were an outsider. So if you're someone who operates on the fringes of an industry, that could be a good thing for you in 2026. Also, if you are kind of an outcast, maybe you were cast out from a job and now you're starting your own thing, that could be favorable for you with this Jupiter Chiron. But of course, you want to look at your broader chart and see if that makes sense for you. So here's what you need to do. Don't believe the hype, in the words of Flavor Flav. If someone's telling you the economy is great, but you can't afford groceries, trust yourself. Tighten your budget now. Build your reserve. Focus on preventative health. And I mean, actually take care of yourself, not just say you will. I'm talking to myself right now too. If something sounds too good to be true financially in 2026, it probably is. Neptune in the second house can create deception around money. People blurring the lines between what's yours and what's mine, creating confusion so they can steal. Now let's talk about theme number 2. And honestly, this one had me like, yikes. The sun is conjunct Mars in Capricorn. Now the sun in mundane astrology, which is what we're talking about, the astrology of the collective, it represents leadership, the people in charge. And Mars is the military. Mars is fighting. Mars is war. Mars is also work. And they're together in Capricorn, which is a sign that doesn't care about your feelings. And I say this as someone with Mars and Capricorn. When there's a job to be done, the job is getting done. Emotions are irrelevant. So what does this look like? It looks like leadership saying, we're going to war. I don't care how you feel about it. Mission first. There's also this Mars Volcanus situation, and Volcanus is basically Mars on steroids. It's powerful, forceful activity. Some interpretations even point to the possibility of violence or becoming a victim of violence. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just reading what's in the chart. And what's in the chart is leadership that is cold, calculated, and ready to mobilize. But people aren't taking this lying down. There is a Saturn-Zeus combination, which can mean resistance to war or other problems related to the military. Further evidence of opposition and rebellion would be the Uranus on the IC. I spoke about this at length in the Uranus and Gemini video, which you can watch here. But in short, Uranus rules sudden shocks, disruptions, riots, political tension. It's also associated with individualism, anarchy, and upheaval. And remember, Uranus with Admetos is earthquake energy. Sometimes that's a literal earthquake, sometimes it's a financial one, sometimes it is a political earthquake, sometimes it's tiny tech, but it is a shock regardless, a shock to the system. It's especially a shock to the land and the heart of the people being in the 4th house. The sun is also opposing Hygeia, which is an asteroid related to health, hygiene, preventative medicine. So while leadership is focused on war and conflict, there's a need to focus on cleanliness, sanitation, and preventative medicine. A lot of y'all were slacking during COVID, and you slacked off even more since then. 2026 is saying get it together, wash your hands, clean up, take care of your health, because leadership isn't worried about it. They're worried about other things. Jupiter squaring Chiron, there's a crisis of faith kind of energy. Now let me talk about the vibe of all this, because Venus and Mercury are both in Sagittarius in this chart. Everybody knows a super fun, wild Sagittarius who loves to roller skate, run, ride horses or motorcycles. They drive fast, they're adventurous. That chaos is kind of fun to be around. But there's that other side of Sagittarius, the zealot. The person who is so convinced they have the truth that they become self-righteous, preachy, holier than thou. Mercury is at the southern bending of the moon's nodes. This means a crisis regarding communications, children, education, transit, or even agreements. In Sagittarius, I can't help but think about the growing religious influence in schools. Texas recently adopted Turning Point USA curriculum in its public schools. We see private school vouchers in some areas that take away funding from public schools so that people can go to parochial schools. This is a preachy chart, y'all, but these are not sermons of love and light. These are fiery, hot sermons, but not the heartwarming kind. This is devoid of true Christ consciousness. A lot of religion, but not much spirituality. Like the words and the practice are there, but the feeling is not. I watched the beginning of the Ed Gein docuseries. Y'all know Ed Gein, the serial killer. And within minutes of seeing his interactions with his super religious mom, who was so extreme, she didn't want him to get married because she thought sex was evil. And I was like, Ed Gein is a Sagittarius moon because the moon corresponds to a person's mother, and Sagittarius can be zealots, as I said. So I checked his chart, and of course, boom, Sagittarius moon. Because that's the dark side of Sagittarius. When belief becomes fanaticism, faith becomes control, and righteousness becomes cruelty. So here's what you need to do with this information. Stay informed, but protect your peace. Understand that decisions being made at the top might feel harsh and disconnected from what regular people actually need. If you are in a position of power at work, in your community, in your family, lead with humanity. Don't fall into that cold Capricorn pragmatism where you're just checking boxes and people become collateral damage. And prepare for disruptions. I'm talking political shocks, potential environmental events, economic surprises. Have a plan B and maybe a plan C too. All right, let's talk about theme number 3. And this one's a little different because it's about how we cope with everything that I just told you. The moon is in Capricorn in the 12th house. The moon represents the people, the collective emotional state, and it's in the sign of Capricorn, which is the moon's detriment. The moon does not like being in Capricorn. So quick story time. When I was a kid, probably about 8 or 9 years old, my mom took my brother and me on a road trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I can't remember exactly why this happened, but I suspect she got tired while we were driving back and just decided to find the closest place for us to stay for the night. But we ended up at a Red Roof Inn, which is this incredibly janky motel with this horrendous red carpet. The entire room smelled like an ashtray. There were cigarette burns on the sheets. And when you walked across the red carpet with a pair of white socks, the bottom of your socks would be blackened like a Cajun chicken sandwich. Everything was just rough and run through. There was all this weird stuff happening outside, people fighting, probably some ladies of the night getting to the bag. It was such a wild experience, but we were fine. We drove back home the next day. But I say all that to say that motel experience is what it feels like to be in detriment. You're in the sign that is the polar opposite from your home sign. So you're on the road in a motel with burns in the carpet and weird stains on the sheets setting off the black light. People with Capricorn moons know it's rough. You're constantly having to put your big girl panties on because life keeps reminding you that it's not easy. And that can harden you. The moon's home sign is Cancer. It is a water sign. The moon likes to stay moisturized, but in earthy, dry Capricorn, it's ashy. A Capricorn moon is an ashy moon. So collectively, we're looking for the proverbial shea butter, some softness, some comfort, anything, and it's just not there. And because there's no softness, because there's no comfort, no nourishment to be had, we escape into the 12th house. The 12th house is isolation, separation, hidden enemies, kind of a dark night of the soul that we are navigating as we ascend into an unfamiliar world where we can't trust anyone because it's all new to us and we only have our inner light to guide us. On a personal level, this could look like moving abroad for a bit. Shout out to the Exodus Summit ladies, Stephanie Perry, Rashida Dow. This could look like taking a sabbatical, stepping back from social situations. Or it could look like unhealthy escape, self-sabotaging behavior, substances, numbing out with sex, video games, eating crappy food, doom scrolling, etc., etc. You know that thing you do that you're doing too much of that you need to fall back on, whatever that is. The moon is also conjunct Vesta. Vesta is about maintaining the sacred flame, devotion to a cause, but also isolation. And the moon is on the Vesta Chronos midpoint. That combination can indicate citizenship issues, deportations, people being cut off from their communities. And on a mundane level, the 12th house rules prisons, hospitals, asylums, institutions, people who are weak, infirm, or in need of charity, secret enemies, and spies. So yes, It continues to be a rough time for everyday people finding themselves in these challenging spaces. But here's where the Aquarius rising comes back in. Remember that star card we talked about earlier? The star says you're not here to suffer. You came into this world as a voyager. Hard to believe, but you chose this lifetime. And when things get hard, the star reminds us to get silent, to meditate, to detach. So here's my advice for theme 3. Embrace solitude as medicine, not punishment. If you need to step back, step back. If you need to say no to social obligations to protect your peace and your energy, do it. Meditate. I don't care if it's just 5 minutes. Create some silence in your life and use that silence to tap into your intuition, into your inner star. Let that guide you through the darkness. Stay authentic to who you are, even when the world feels harsh. Because when you live from a place of authenticity, you remember, I'm not here to suffer. I'm here to experience life and develop my gifts. And sometimes the best thing you can do is leave a situation. But if you can't physically leave, you can leave energetically. You can create that gap. That's the gift of the star. The Hebrew word associated with the star is sadi. It means fish hook and represents being caught or trapped, but in a spiritual sense of being drawn to a higher power or the truth. So we're getting caught up. Did I just predict the rapture? That's 2026, y'all. The Capricorn Ingress chart is a lot. It is saturated with Saturn energy, Capricorn, Aquarius, which is not warm and fuzzy. This is not lover girl, lover boy energy. This is not an everything is gonna be fine kind of year. Y'all know, I might tell you a joke, but I'll never tell you a lie. But if you understand what's coming, you can prepare. Protect yourself financially. You can take care of your health. You can set boundaries. You can tap into your intuition and let that guide you. Protect your peace, meditate, stay authentic, and remember, you chose this lifetime. You came here to develop your gifts. Don't let 2026 make you forget that. Now, if you want to know how this energy impacts you specifically so you can work with how it impacts your chart and not against it, you can book a consultation with me and I will drop a link for that below. And if this helped you feel more prepared for what's coming, if you're like, okay, I'm not going into 2026 blind, hit that like button and go on and subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to be navigating this together. If you want regular updates on what's happening in the sky, join my newsletter, Tomorrow's Truth Today. Drop a comment and let me know, what theme are you most concerned about? I want to hear from you. All right, y'all, that's it for this one. Stay safe, stay strategic, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace, homies.